Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Sudarshan ML working as Assistant Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering, Vivekananda College of Engineering and Technology, Puttur. In today's session, I am going to take Engineering Materials. Uh, it is Module 4 in Elements of Mechanical Engineering subject. Uh, in today's presentation, I am going to give description about properties, composition and industrial application of engineering materials, metals like ferrous, cast iron, tool steels and stainless steels, and non-ferrous materials like aluminium, brass, bronze. Also polymers like thermoplastic and thermosetting polymers. Some things about ceramics, that is glass and optical fiber glass ceramics. Let us quickly glance over the classification of engineering materials. One side we have got metals and other side not non-metallic materials. Under metals we got ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals. Ferrous metals namely pig iron, cast iron, wrought iron and steel, whereas non-ferrous materials like aluminium, copper, nickel, lead, tin, zinc, gold, silver, etc. And second classification, non-metallic materials, we got two materials, that is synthetic materials as well as natural materials. Synthetic materials namely very famous, that is plastics, ceramics, composites. And under natural polymer, natural materials, we got wood, rubber, glass, diamond, emery, oil, silicon, etc. Under that again the bifurcation will be there. Under plastic we got LP, PP, HDP, like polymer. They are also polymers, polyethylene propylenes. So a huge number variety of things are there under plastics. Uh, Ferrous materials. Once we speak something about any metals means first of all we will come to know that is iron. Ferrous materials are those materials in which chief constituent is iron. In these materials, iron is mixed with carbon, silicon, chromium, nickel, manganese, etc. to form alloys such as steels and cast irons. Ferrous materials are classified into two categories, namely steels and cast irons, based on carbon content in them. Quickly glancing over their difference is steel has got carbon content less than 2%. Cast iron has got carbon percent greater than 2%, 2 to 6%. So steels are those alloys of iron and carbon in which carbon content is less than 2%. Depending upon percentage of other alloying elements, steels are further named as carbon steels, stainless steels or tool steels. In a maximum case, these tool steels are meant for cutting tools, since their material hardness is greater than the workpiece, so easy for cutting. Even hacksaw blade, frames, and the chisels, these are all made up of this tool steel material. Whereas cast irons are those alloys of iron and carbon in which carbon content is 2 to 6.67%. Cast irons are normally produced from cupola furnace. Depending upon percentage of carbon and other alloying elements, various cast irons are produced like a pig iron, wrought iron, white cast iron, like that. And usually we are preferring cast iron for base, like for supporting, since cast iron is having a major property of sustaining very high compressive load. There is a famous saying like uh, cast iron should not be dropped over anything, but anything can be dropped over cast iron, because cast iron is ready to absorb all kind of load. And if you drop it over something, cast iron is heavy one side, other side it is a brittle in nature. Yeah, there is a chance of having cracks on the inner structure of cast iron. So it is usually meant for the base of any uh, machineries. Even we have studied it under lathe. The lathe bed is made up of cast iron, or all machineries, big machineries, base is usually made up of cast iron. Now moving on to carbon steels and their classification. Carbon steels and their classification based on percentage of carbon. Higher percentage of carbon in steel makes it harder and tougher. Carbon steels are classified into following four categories: low carbon steel percentage from 0.05 to 0.15, mild steel carbon percentage 0.16 to 0.29, medium carbon steel 0.3 to 0.59 percentage of carbon, high carbon steel 0.6 to 1.7 percentage of carbon. Let us see now their properties as well as application. Low carbon steel, its property is majorly soft, ductile, very little hardenability, good corrosion resistance, good weldability. So easy for manufacturing firms for making any kind of objects. Applications: welded or seamless tubes, thin sheets, wire rods, nails, rivets, stampings, etc. Stamping means for hitting it hard over any material. Stamping. Then comes merged carbon steel. It is also same as low carbon steel, soft, ductile, little hardenability, good weldability. Mm, Application finds in forging, stampings, structural sections, angles, channels, beams, wire rods, plates, steel casting, etc. Third one is a medium carbon steel. It is having good strength and ductility, good hardenability and weldability. They can be hot or cold worked. We have to make it red hot, and we have to using a hammer. We need to work on it. Cold work means it is a other variety of uh, work hardening. Then application: drop forgings, plates for boiler drums, marine shafts and axles, high tensile wires and tubes, locomotive wheels, wire, ropes, hammers, etc. Since it is having good strength and ductility, it is ready to take any kind of a load. And fourth one is high carbon steel, good hardenability, ductility, and weldability. Uh, its manufacturing cost is a little high, so it is not economical, but it finds its own application in some of the punch application, for making cutting tools, punches, dies, and high strength rails. Wrought iron. It is a purest form of iron which contains 99.8% of iron and produced by melting pig iron in a puddling furnace. Cast iron. Cast iron is produced by melting pig iron in a cupola furnace or some other furnace, that is induction furnace, some kind of electrical furnace it is. The chemistry of pig iron is suitably modified in a cupola furnace to produce different grades of cast iron. So depending upon our requirement, we are adding or subtracting this carbon. So usually we work over a carbon such that we can extract good ductility, reliability, and strength out of this cast iron. Also, cast iron has low tensile strength but good compressive strength, as I discussed earlier, and good corrosion resistance. Cast irons are very brittle and have no plasticity. As a result, they cannot be forged. Forging means that process where we are supplying heat and we are making it red hot and we are hammering it. But cast iron, since it is very brittle, if we hammer it, its structure gets broken. It has a self-lubricating properties due to presence of free carbons and is therefore used for making surfaces where which sliding takes place, such as lathe bed over which we have seen guideways for sliding tailstock. Now, important classification types of cast iron. First one, gray cast iron. In this cast iron, most of the carbon is present in the form of free graphite. Under microscope, this carbon is visible as flakes. If a piece of this material is broken, its a fractured section shows the grayish color, and that is why it is known as gray cast iron. The gray color is due to presence of free carbon in the form of graphite flakes. Graphite is having little grayish color, and it imparts that color. In gray cast iron, the carbon content in combined form, that is in the form of Fe3C. three iron and one carbon. So it is iron carbide, generally said as cementite, may vary from 0.3% to 0.9% of a carbon. Introduction about grey cast iron is over. Now properties of grey cast iron. It is very brittle and possesses no ductility or plasticity. As a result, it cannot be forged. High brittleness makes it unsuitable for making parts which are subjected to shock loading. It has a good machinability. It has a good compression strength, 1250 kg per square centimeter, and low tensile strength of 650 kg per square centimeter. Due to good compressive strength, it is the most suitable for making compressive load bearing members such as legs and beds of heavy machinery. It has good fusibility, which makes it suitable for making castings. Fusibility means we have to melt it to liquid form and we need to pour it to one particular structure. So we are calling it as fusibility. Due to presence of a free graphite, it has a self-lubricating property and hence it is suitable for making sliding surfaces. Second variety of cast iron is white cast iron. It is called as white cast iron because its fractured section shows whitish color. First one was grey cast iron, now white cast iron. Most of the carbon present in this cast iron is in the combined form, that is iron carbide, that is Fe3C, which is called as cementite. Cementite is white in color and makes this structure white. Cementite is very hard and brittle. Cementite is formed due to rapid cooling of iron after melting. It is due to this reason that all the chilled parts of castings are hard and brittle. White cast iron is hard and brittle and highly wear resistant. Its fluidity is not good and is not suitable for general casting purpose. Third variety is malleable cast iron. It has fairly good amount of malleability. It is produced in two steps. First, cast iron castings are produced by melting white cast iron in cupola furnace. These castings are packed in iron boxes containing material rich in oxygen. These boxes are kept for 4 days in annealing furnace. Annealing means slow cooling. Quenching means sudden cooling. Annealing is a slow cooling process at a temperature of 815 degrees Celsius to 1010 degrees Celsius and then allowed to cool slowly along with the furnace. This allows cementite to decompose into iron and carbon in a very systematic manner. Next we are moving to alloy steels. All steels in addition to iron and carbon contain other elements like silicon, manganese, sulfur and phosphorus. In some steels, special elements like nickel, chromium, molybdenum, vanadium and tungsten etc. are added to enhance their mechanical properties. These steels are called alloy steels. They have their properties as per alloying elements in them. These steels are named normally on the basis of their principal alloying element. Next is a stainless steel. They are corrosion resistant steels. All of you know, you are familiar with the stainless steel. Regularly we were using a stainless steel made ruler in our regular class. Their principal alloying element is a chromium, while other elements like nickel, manganese can also be present in a small amount. To impart high corrosion resistance to steels, chromium up to 12% is added. The chromium present in the steels react with the oxygen in air to form a strong layer of chromium oxide on the surface of the metal. This layer protects the metal from corrosion and its color is a little whitish and shining. Stainless steels carrying more than 12% chromium are known as true stainless steels. Under steel we got three classification: carbon steel, alloy steel and tool steel. Now the last category is a tool steel. These alloy steels have a special application in manufacturing of cutting tools for those applications where tools made up of carbon steel will either fail to perform or will have a very short life. We need to consider one factor here. If a workpiece is hard, then we need to use a tool which is harder than that workpiece. Similarly here, uh, when we are going with the very hardened workpiece, we supposed to work with the tool steel, and they are put into two categories. Uh, One is cold or hot work tool steels. Second one is high speed steel, generally called as HSS. And we have large application of this high speed steel, and it is vastly used. High speed steel, that is HSS. It is a high alloy tool steel used for making cutting tools suitable for high temperature applications. Main constituent in HSS are carbon, tungsten, chromium, vanadium and molybdenum. High speed steel has high wear resistance, high abrasion resistance and high red hardness. They retain their hardness up to 620 degrees Celsius. The most commonly used high speed steel is 1841, which carries 18% of tungsten, 4% of chromium, 1% vanadium and 0.7% carbon and rest is iron. It has good red hardness, wear resistance, shock resistance and widely used for making cutting tools for lathe, shapers, slaughters, milling machines, drilling machines, etc. Moving to second main category, that is non-ferrous metals. Non-ferrous metals are those which do not contain iron. Most commonly used non-ferrous metals are aluminum, copper, magnesium, lead, tin, nickel, zinc, etc. Also, they form useful alloys among themselves. Now, let's glance over properties of these different non-metals. First comes copper. Properties and usage of copper. It is high electrical conductive, used for making cables and contactors, and it is offering a very less resistance also for electric supply. It is also high heat conductive, used in heat exchangers, heating vessels and appliances. Even we have seen nowadays the vessels bottoms are made up of copper coating. Good corrosion resistance, used to provide base coating on steel prior to nickel and chromium plating. Very high ductility, can be easily cold worked, rolled, drawn and spun. Loses ductility in cold working, requires annealing between the process. So these are some additional properties. Zinc, its properties and usage will be like this. High corrosion resistance, it is widely used for providing protective coating on iron and steel. It may be coated either by deep galvanizing, electroplating, shardizing or just by painting. What is this shardizing? Shardizing, it is a heating process. Initially metal need to be heated. After that a zinc dust will be coated in a systematic way, just in the form of how powder coating is done over aluminum. The similar way zinc coating is also preferred. And the next property is a low melting point and high fluidity, makes it most suitable for pressure die casting. And also zinc is vastly used nowadays uh, for making roof sheets, so that it becomes corrosion proof, rust proof. Also its reliability will be more, and also it is resisting heating tendency. So during summer it is reducing the heating compared to regular iron sheets. Tin, it is the costliest non-metallic thing. Good resistance to acid corrosion and used as a coating on steel container for food. It is soft and has good plasticity and can be easily worked. It can be easily rolled into thin foils but cannot be drawn into wires due to low strength. It is used as an alloying element in soft solders, bronzes, and bearing materials. Magnesium, its properties and usage. It is a lightest metal available, weighing a two-thirds of aluminum. It can be easily cast into fine shapes. It has good ductility, so it can be easily cold worked. When in powder form, it is likely to catch fire, requiring adequate fire protection measures for its storage. Else, otherwise, it will be sometimes explosive also. Lead, it is a heaviest thing. Good corrosion resistance it has got. Used for water pipes and roof protection. Good resistance to chemical action. Used for acid baths and containers in chemical industry. Even in battery industries, it is regularly used. It is soft, heavy, and malleable, uh, and can be easily worked and shaped. Used as alloying element in making solders. It is alloyed with brass and steel to impart them free cutting properties. Aluminium, one of the widely used nowadays material is aluminium. It is a highly electrical conductive, used for heavy conductors and bus bars. High heat conductive, used in domestic utensils and other heat conducting appliances. Good resistance to corrosion, used for manufacturing of containers for chemical industry and window frames, etc. The corrosion resistance can be further enhanced by anodizing. That is a process of increasing the thickness of a natural oxide layer on the metal surface. It is done through electrolysis. Metal forms anode and of electrical circuit. Initially, this aluminum bar is dipped in a chemical so that it is converted into negative, and the paints are sprayed in the form of powders, nothing but it is acting as anode. When anode is brought near to cathode, it starts attracting each other such that each and every molecule of powder will be sticked onto the surface of that metal, aluminum. Later, that material is got heated to 180 degrees Celsius such that the powder which is coated automatically sticks firmly by melting over the aluminum. This is anodizing process. Nickel, good resistance to both acid and alkali corrosion, widely used for food processing equipments, has high tensile strength and can be easily hot or cold rolled or worked. It is plated on steel to provide corrosion resistant surface. We are almost in the end. That is brass and bronze. Brass, these are alloy of copper and zinc. Bronze, they are alloys of copper and tin. The properties of brass are good bearing materials, good machinability, can be cold worked and hot worked, good castability, high resistance to corrosion. The brass finds application in pump parts, marine fittings, valves, condenser tubes, fuses, also cartridge cases, tubes, sheets, radiator shells, ship components such as window anchors, since brass won't get corroded or won't get reacted with the salt water of a sea, making ornaments, electrical fittings, and brush holders, bracing holders, gears, pinions, and other moving parts of a clock, fire extinguisher shells. These are a vast application of this brass. Whereas a bronze properties are very good strength compared to brass and copper, good bearing properties, good corrosion resistance, improved hardness, easy machinability, good fatigue strength, and almost same application which brass is used, bronze is also being used. Now coming to the advantages of non-ferrous materials: very good electrical and thermal conductivity, good castability, good formability, good cold working properties, high corrosion resistance, and even rust proof, attractive appearance, lower density, and high strength to weight ratio, so that the component weighs lesser than that iron, uh, and its look is also excellent. Some of the disadvantages: high cost, high shrinkage during heating, lower strength at elevated temperature. So, summary says we have studied in this presentation the properties of various metals, composition and industrial applications of engineering materials and metals, both ferrous and non-ferrous materials, and their application, properties, advantages, disadvantages, everything we have studied in the present presentation. Thank you one and all.